What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and looks like some new internal messages have leaked from the Joe Rogan kind of disaster with popular alt-tech social media Twitter alternative Gettr. I don't know how these messages got leaked because it seems like there's only like 2 people involved in it, but here we have. I mean, it's being reported on a couple different websites. This particular source is called Mother Jones. I don't know. It seems like a reasonable website, but also left-leaning from what I can see. But it doesn't really matter because the facts are the facts. And if these messages are real, it's another stain on Gettr. Now, last night, the CEO of Gab went on Timcast IRL. I was out. I didn't see it, but I didn't see any disastrous clips floating around the internet, unlike the CEO of Gettr, where there was several disastrous clips. And I saw a huge increase in following on Gab. I think I went from like 2.5 thousand followers to 3.2 thousand. That's like, what, a 30% increase overnight. So clearly there's a lot of people that were impressed by the offering. But these messages with Joe are even more troublesome for Gettr. We're going to get right into all that after a quick word from this video's sponsor, Sheath. Huge shout out to this video's sponsor. That's right, Sheath. These boxers are designed to keep your balls off your legs. Sheath has 3 individual compartments to keep everything down there separate and cool and comfortable. And hey, since they've been a long-time sponsor, I've heard from many of you who have tried out Sheath and really love it. They were invented by a U.S. Army soldier who came up with the idea for Sheath during his second tour in Iraq, where it was hot as heck and his boys needed to breathe. And on top of all sorts of awesome designs for Sheath, they've added all sorts of winter items, hoodies, gator necks, and all sorts of base layers. Head on over to the link in the description and pin comment down below. Use my promo code to save and support the channel and keep everything nice, cool, and dry. Now, Joe Rogan, got egg on his face, and he wasn't happy about it. Essentially, joining Gettr and then calling them out immediately about kind of the fake follower accounts, which I called out from the beginning. I didn't like it. I don't think that I'm willing to accept any other possible reason for it other than to lie about the number of users there. However, I will say my number of followers over on Gettr continues to increase. My interaction continues to be decent there, 136 likes and 40 retweets or whatever already in about an hour from that post. So people are using it. There was initial big push of people who went to Gettr. I think I was at like something like 15,000 or something like that. And then with the recent push, I've seen a decent increase in it. But you could see they separated the 2 out. This was a major, major issue for me. It was being non-transparent. But even bigger of an issue was their terms of service and their mealy-mouthed explanations for why they basically have the same kind of Silicon Valley terms of service as Google or as Twitter or Facebook. And what I think was well put forth in a small clip I saw last night from the Gab CEO, talked about how if your app is on the Google Play Store or it's on the iTunes Store, you're essentially bound by their terms of service. You aren't really going to be able to position yourself as a free speech platform if that's the case. And if you don't own your own technology, and if you don't own your own, domain registrar and payment processors and all these type of things. Gab's already doing all that. Gab Pay is coming up. So, I mean, they are doing it the right way. They still won't get the mainstream publication and call for people to go there as Gettr will. And I have several suspicions why that is. But now when Joe Rogan called out Gettr, leaked messages show Gettr in crisis mode over Joe Rogan criticism. They suggest deeper involvement in the they suggest a deeper involvement in the company by controversial Chinese billionaire than previously acknowledged. Last week, Gettr, the social media site, sells itself as a mega alternative to Twitter. I don't know. I don't really think it's a mega alternative. But anyway, Enter Damage Control. The hugely popular podcaster Joe Rogan, who days early had signed up for the app, publicly blasted Getter as Fugazi and accusing the startup of artificially boosting his follower count by adding his massive Twitter following of 8 million to his smaller audience on Getter. Rogan was initially saying Getter was juicing the numbers and claiming millions of users it didn't have. I agree. The criticism from Rogan, the host of the biggest podcast in the country, who is popular on the right, was a big problem for the social media firm that is only 6 months old and targets conservatives as its consumer base. As he dealt with the fallout, Jason Miller, the former Trump campaign spokesperson, who is a company's CEO, traded messages with Wen-Guy? Sorry, I did what I could. The controversial figure, Chinese billionaire and ally of Steve Bannon. Now I know this website's left-leaning. Whose company created an early version of Getter. Miller and Getter have repeatedly asserted that the Chinese billionaire does not play any kind of active role in the company's operations, but these messages, which were obtained by Mother Jones, show him dispensing advice, arguably instructions, to Miller to suggest he is more involved in the company than what has been acknowledged. Quote, "Yeah, it's not good," Miller said in the WhatsApp message to him, noting that he had recently spoken to Rogan's producer in an effort to smooth things over. Hopefully we won't have any more outbursts. We don't want to do any bad things to this guy. Speaking of Joe Rogan, the Chinese billionaire says, who speaks in slightly fractured English. We respect him. Just explain to him what happened. Keep it gentleman style, he stressed. Don't fight back. We are friends. We need to respect him. Exactly, Miller replied in the text. I was very humble when I spoke to his producer yesterday. That's why I love you. You're 100% gentleman, the Chinese billionaire responded in another audio message. He added seemingly jokingly that he himself was a fake gentleman. How did this audio get out? I'll never understand this. Like, isn't this like a text message between two people? I don't get it. I really don't. He appears to have communicated one-on-one with Miller. Then forwarded the exchange to a group of around 20 associates. That's how it got out, according to the person who shared the message with Mother Jones. To this group, he provided a description for what he had discussed with Miller. Regarding Joe Rogan, last night we discussed with Jason to display the number of followers separately, by the way, which is still a cop-out. Just show Getter followers. Literally no other social media website plays around like this. It's this weird thing that it was like some dude's idea and he's unwilling to get rid of it. He wrote in the WhatsApp chat, originally appeared in Chinese. The web version has been launched and the mobile version is being submitted. All the changes made, Jason should respond to the issue. An announcement to explain. The Chinese billionaire, who became a vocal critic of the CCP after fleeing to the U.S. in 2015, heads a constellation of commercial and nonprofit entities that he and Bannon describe as a whistleblower movement battling Chinese government corruption. Getter is based on a nearly identical social media platform application that the Chinese billionaire first developed called Getter with an ER, and before Getome. Getter was hosted on his streaming video site, GTV, before it was launched as a new corporate entity. From the start, Miller has claimed that he had little involvement, Guo had little involvement with Getter, telling the Daily Beast that he had no formal role, had not contributed any money, and was not part of the day-to-day operations. Miller later told the Wall Street Journal that Getter's investors include his family's foundation, but he claimed that he didn't have any direct financial stake nor direct role in the business. He told the New Yorker that the story that appeared on January 11th that he does not have a direct personal financial stake in the social media company. Yet their WhatsApp exchange last week suggests a deeper level of participation by him in the company's affairs. Additionally, a legal document obtained by Mother Jones indicates a tight connection between the two. The social media app has said to have headquartered in 3 Columbus Circle, New York, but according to the document, the paychecks for Getter employees bear a different address. 162 East 64th Street East, an Upper East Side building that houses the Chinese billionaire's commercial and nonprofit ventures. Shocking. That is also the address of what he calls the Himalaya Embassy the new federal state of China, that supposed government in waiting dedicated to the CCP's overthrow. Now, just because he is Chinese and he's a billionaire, it doesn't mean he's like some sort of operative. He's clearly, clearly a vocal opponent to the CCP. But it is interesting. I don't say these things to have people get off Getter or to tell people to get on Gab. I have no financial stake in any of it. My only stake is that I want, and support alternatives to YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. That's why I always talk about Minds, Gab, BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, even Getter. Now, any alternatives are a good thing, and not everything's going to be the perfect solution, but anything that kind of creates new areas where people can get together is a win. Rogan had initially told his followers to rejoice when he joined Getter on January 2nd, and Getter touted his presence there, claiming that it brought a surge in new users, but actually using Getter appeared to frustrate Rogan, who lambasted the app and questions its metrics in January appearance on a podcast hosted by Tim Dillon. You have like 9 million followers on Getter, Dillon said to Rogan in remarks highlighted in the Daily Beast. It's not real, though, Rogan responded. Getter doesn't even have 9 million people. That's where the messed up stuff is. They take all my Twitter followers and then they port it over. Yeah, not good. These new audio leaks, definitely not good. And Joe Rogan's power continues to grow. And I hope he continues to be open to supporting alt tech, even after I think this one kind of, he might feel like it kind of blew up in his face a little bit. Like, I wonder if he's even posting on here. I wonder if he's even posting. Nope. He hasn't posted. He posted something on January 10th, right around this time of these interviews, and hasn't been back around. January 3rd. It's been weeks. Now, he doesn't post a ton on Twitter, but probably not a good sign to have him to lose faith immediately. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.